It's been an interesting season in the NHL. Blown leads, teams doing better or worse than we may expect. At times it feels like we're living in an alternate reality. But then you look at the bottom of the Eastern Conference and you see the Buffalo Sabres sitting there. Then you realize everything is still normal. Sorry, Buffalo. Alright, let's talk about the Penguins about a quarter of the way through this season. Right now, the Penguins sit at 5th place in the Metropolitan Division, at 25 points, sitting at 10, 6, and 5. I'll get more into that later. Overall, I think a lot of people were expecting this team to not do as hot as they've been doing to start the season, myself included. But this is a really good start to the season, given where they were supposed to be. And you gotta credit Dan Muse and the rest of his coaching staff. Now, obviously, I think I may have said it at the time. Uh, although Mike Sullivan was a very good coach for the Penguins for a very long time, it was also time for both parties to part ways. And the best thing that could have happened to this team was a coaching change, and I think the start of this season just only enforces that narrative. Now let's get into the Penguins as a whole. The Penguins, right now, they sit 20th in goals at 64. Also, for context, I am recording this Sunday the 23rd. Sunday the 23rd, I'm recording this right after I made my Steelers reaction. So, that's right now where the Penguins sit. 20th in goals at 64. Second best in goals allowed, sitting only behind the Avalanche, who have only allowed 48. They're tearing up the league right now. They have a league best 32% power play, fourth best penalty kill at 85.2. They have a 908 team save percentage, and they have 3 shutouts on the season. So overall, those stats look pretty good on paper. You'd like to see the goal scoring go up, but other than that, this team looks efficient. Their power play is killing it, the penalty kill is doing well, and the goaltenders are doing well. Now let's talk about individual players. Malkin, Crosby, they're still the two-headed monster that they always are. You have Malkin turning back the clock a lot. 24 points, 6 goals, 18 assists, 24 points. That's ridiculous for him. Crosby, although he hasn't, I don't want to say he hasn't been the player that we expect him to be, because he definitely has been. It's just that he's scoring more goals this year than, he's all his career he's been a playmaker, not necessarily a guy that scores a ton of goals like Alex Ovechkin or Austin Matthews. But right now he has 13 goals, 10 assists, 23 points. Now I expect that assist number to creep up as the year goes on. I expect that to be eventually higher than his goals number, but those two, they're doing what they've always done, carrying this team pretty much. Because after Crosby, there's a big fall off. You have Brian Rust, 5 goals, 10 assists, 15 points. Mantha, 8 goals, 6 assists, 14 points. Erik Karlsson, a goal, 12 assists, 13 points. Justin Brazeau, who had a very hot start to the season, unfortunately now hurt, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points. Benjamin Kindle, who I'll talk a bit more about later, 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points. Letang, 1 goal, 7 assists, 8 points. And Raquel, he has 3 goals, 5 assists, 8 points in 9 games. He's still recovering from wrist surgery. As for the goaltenders, I really don't have many complaints. Shilov's, he is 4-3-4, 274 goals allowed average, 907 save percentage, and the shutout. God, my nose is so itchy. I don't know why. Jari, he's 5-2, 2.6 goals allowed average, 911 save percentage. He's unfortunately on injured reserve right now after the Maple Leafs game. Apologies for the abrupt cut. I was talking about Jari. Jari, you can argue at times he's been the best goaltender this season, which is wild to say considering his career arc. But yeah, I mean, at times, God, my nose is so itchy. Jesus. At times, yeah, Jari has been the best goaltender on this team. And then you have Sergei Miroshov, who came up after Jari got hurt. 111, 1.9 goals allowed average, 913 save percentage, and then all three goaltenders have a shutout. Now, Miroshov, obviously, still very early in his career. He's played 4 games. He came in relief for Shilovs during the Wild game because that game was a hot mess. But overall, I've liked what I've seen from Miroshov. I'm hoping that he continues doing well. I want him to succeed, obviously. And I'm hoping that he can continue. As for the Eastern Conference as a whole, right now the Canes are sitting at 30 points. Right now they're the cream of the crop in the Metropolitan Division in the Eastern Conference. Devils are sitting at 27 in second place. Islanders at 26. The Flyers at 25. They have the tiebreaker over the Penguins right now because they not only beat them, but they also have a game in hand. They played 20 games, whereas the Penguins have played 21. Penguins sitting at 25. Blue Jackets at 25. Capitals at 24. And then the Rangers sitting at the bottom of the Metropolitan, hilariously so, at 22 points. How's it going over there, Mike Sullivan? You like it? In the Atlantic Division, the other Eastern Conference division, you have the Red Wings at 27 points, the Lightning, Senators, and Bruins all at 26, Montreal at 25, Panthers at 23, which is a bit unexpected to see them that low, but they're dealing with a lot of injuries right now, so I do expect them to get right back up in the thick of things. The Leafs at 21, and then the Buffalo Sabres, as I mentioned, at the bottom of the Eastern Conference at 20 points. But, so yeah, overall, very wide open Eastern Conference still. Very wide open. Things can still change drastically throughout these next 60 or so games. Let's talk about some individual players. Benjamin Kindle. I like Benjamin Kindle, man. He wasn't even supposed to be on this roster on opening day. And then he made the opening day roster. I mean, this is a guy we drafted in the summer. Just last summer, he was expected to be one of those guys who tried out for a training camp and then wouldn't make the roster, and then he'd go over to the Calgary Hitmen, I believe. And then maybe he would see playing time next year or something. Not Benjamin Kindle. He is playing right now, I don't want to say at a high level because these past few games he hasn't been as spectacular, but he's still playing on the top power play unit. He seems like a goal scorer. He's driving the net well, and I really like what I've seen from him. I would like it if his defensive game could improve at least a little bit, but overall, I've liked what I've seen from Benjamin Kindle, and I'm really hoping that he can continue building as a player. I don't expect him to be like a 100-point player every year or anything like that. I just want him to be a constant force. Letang, obviously we know Chris Letang. At this point in his career, he's not a perfect defenseman anymore, obviously. He was never really a perfect defenseman anyways, but still. He's getting older, but, he's still part of the core trio, and he'll eventually go in the Hall of Fame, I'm sure. At the very least, he'll go in the Penguins Hall of Fame. But, I mean, Chris Letang, he's older, defensive liability at times, but, I mean, what are you going to do? Same can be said with Erik Karlsson, but except with Erik Karlsson, he scores points. He gets points, and that's, as an offensive defenseman, that's what I guess you want. I personally prefer defensive defenseman, if you ask me, but that's neither here nor there. But my main takeaways from this team, they have got to be better in the shootout and overtime. They are 0-5 once the game gets past 60 minutes, and that's bad. They're 0-3 in the shootout. That's bad. They have got to be better. They have got to be better. They have to be better. It's as simple as that. I mean, you look at the games that they could have won and they didn't. I mainly look at games in the past 2.5 weeks. The Devils game, I would argue they outplayed the Devils for a majority of that game, and they lost that one in overtime. The Leafs game, they had a 3-0 lead entering the third period, and they lost that game. They lost that lead. They lost that game in one period. They didn't even get a point out of that. You look at the Predators game, the first Predators game in Sweden. They had a lead late in that game, man. They had a 1-goal lead with like 2 minutes left, and they lost in overtime. And then you look at last night's Kraken game. They had a lead in the third period, and I would argue they outplayed the Kraken for a majority of that game. And they lost it in overtime. So that's a 5-point swing right there. If the Penguins win all those games, they're sitting at 14, 5-2. That's a 30-point. That's a 5-point swing. That's the difference from sitting between fifth in the Metro to first in the Metro. That's the difference right there. And so, yeah, if the Penguins want to be a competitive team and make the playoffs, they have to win these games that they have leads in and that they're outplaying these teams. They have to win these games. They also have to be better in the division. Right now, they've only won 2 division games. They beat the Rangers first game of the season. It was a shutout, like a 5-0 shutout, something like that. And they beat the Capitals. That's it. They lost to every other division team. They lost to the Rangers once. They lost to the Blue Jackets, the Flyers, the Devils they lost to. They can't keep losing these division games. But those are my main takeaways with this team right now. They have to be better in the division, and they have to win these games that they should be winning. But, genuinely, I think the Penguins, if they keep doing what they're doing, the best power play and the 4th best penalty kill and all these other amazing stats, I do think they can make the playoffs. But as I said, they can't be losing these games that they should otherwise be winning, and they have to play well in overtime. They have to do well in overtime. And that's how the Penguins are doing so far this season. The Baby Pens, the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins, the AHL affiliate, they're doing great right now. So that's always encouraging to see. In particular, some of the young guys are doing well. Joel Blomqvist, he's been doing okay. Not the prospect, that he used to be, but he's still doing okay down there. Rutger McGroarty, I know he scored a goal recently. Again, not the prospect, he used to be, but still, I like Rutger McGroarty. I think he can be a capable player on this team, maybe a second, third line guy. We'll see how everything pans out. But yeah, that's, I guess, pretty much it for this one. I promise we'll get back to NFL stuff tomorrow. Just wanted to make a video on the Penguins about a quarter of the way through the season. But anyways, that's it from me. Don't die.